Welcome to QO Talk. My name is Marvelous Achafu. And today on QO Talk, we'll be discussing a very sensitive topic, which is ritualists, serial killers, and missing persons. Over the years, many LGBTQI persons have been declared missing or have been killed by various serial killers. But we'll be discussing the topic today and finding out the pros and the cons, the facts and the myths, and why is it that serial killing, or like there are lots of serial killers out there now. With me, I have Chimereze Henry, who is a documentary filmmaker, an activist, and preacher. Our minister, sorry. Chimereze, thank you for coming.
No problem, Marvelous. Thank you for having me.
So I also have Fajita Kelly, who is the CEO of Equality Hub. Thank you, Fajita, for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
And lastly, I have Mackenzie Azel, who is a podcaster of King, who is the podcaster and founder of the podcast Kings. Thank you, Azel and Mackenzie, for coming.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
So I'd like to start with you, Henry. Do you have any stories of, like over there in Canada, is there any story of serial killer? I would like us to begin by storytelling.
Yes, I remember vividly when I moved to Toronto. That was like in 2016, but the following year after I moved to Toronto, Ontario, Canada, 2017. Then I remember in the village we had like a lot of people missing, and from 2017, 18, 19, around 2019, we still had cases of people missing from the gay village in Toronto, Church Street, Ontario. And yeah, at the end of the whole day, it was discovered that a particular man was on the hunt. He just went about the city and he would pick up boys or men, bearded men, from the queer village, and he would take them to his house. He supposedly liked kinky. So for those of us who don't know what kinky is when you have like the bondage sex, the blindfold, the handcuffs. So he just has the kinky with them. He blindfolds them and ties them to his bed, and before he knows, he beheads them, chop off their head. So that was the case we had from 2016 to 2019, thereabout. And it was really a sad story. So we the queer people, we lived under fear during that time.
Okay, so I would still on you, Henry. I would like to establish a popular case which I saw in Canada, which is the case of Bruce McArthur. I don't know if it's the same person you're talking about. So Bruce McArthur, let me just give people a breakdown. Okay, it's the same person. Is it the same person?
Bruce McArthur.
So I would like to just give a breakdown of what Bruce McArthur did. Bruce McArthur is 66-year-old. He's a gardener and also does Santa, plays this Santa, does, what's the word they call it? Santa costume or mall Santa. He's a mall Santa. That's what they call it. Mall Santa, because very, very friendly. But this guy will go to the gay village, pick up people, and he will murder them. And he did this for a long time. I think from 1976 to 2018, it was a very long time. It was decades. And one thing that struck out for me was that he was very, very active in the church board. Like he was a member of the church board. And he was still doing this. He was married before.
Are you sure it's from 1970?
Yeah, it was a very long time. It was a very long time. Sorry, let me just try and get the facts. It was from 1975 to 2018. When they connected him, he had 8 cases. He started with 8 cases. Then when they started pulling the dots and started connecting dots together, he moved to about 21 cases of this same guy, killing different people. And what I want to ask, let me move to my main question. There was this back and forth between the gay village and the Toronto police, with the Toronto police saying that the gay community did not look after their own. Like they were not enough, they were not coming out to talk to the police, they were not giving evidence, they were not policing themselves. So we brings it to the aspect of policing ourselves as the queer community. Why is it? Tell me the situation over there in Canada. Did you guys police each other, or is the chief police, which his name was Mark at that time? He said that you guys don't police each other, you don't look out for each other. Is this true? That's the reason why serial killers are able to penetrate.
I'm not alone with this. I feel I and Kenny could talk about this. For me, I feel the police had their own faults, which they never admit to, which is that when we brought these missing cases to the police, sometimes they just dismiss these cases or they ask us to wait a certain period of time for them to go through all protocol. And by the time they go through all their protocol, the result ends good. So when he talks about us not policing ourselves, attitude where we like to downplay people and throw people aside. We don't really care for each other, but thank God it's changing now. And yes, but that is not enough reason to justify why those cases were dismissed or why those cases were delayed or why those cases were treated less than any other cases.
The chief police, Mark Sanders, said that they were not, the gay community weren't bringing evidence. And I told them that come forward. Even, I think they even banned them. He said they were banned from the Pride Parade. So he said, I think they didn't want the police involved in their cases. They didn't want the LGBT community, did not want any relationship with the police.
Because the LGBT community and the police had a lot of conflict back and forth. We had the police, I think we have had the bathhouse raid in 19-something that had happened, which the community no longer felt comfortable with the officers anymore because the officers just raided people's house. And because of those raiding of houses, most of our community members had died. So for example, you just be in your house and before you know, they just bust off your door, storm your house, and people, you get frightened and some people jump. I remember a story of a girl who jumped from her balcony and she was living like in an apartment building and she fell from the balcony. So those things were the things that added us for not the LGBT community not to be trustworthy of the officers. So the cops had their own role to play when them and not trusting them. So trust is a two-sided line. If one edge is cut off, the other edge too will be cut off. So that was what happened.
Okay. So moving, Mackenzie, now I would like you to react. Do you have any stories in your country like to share with us? Have you had any serial killer case, missing person?
In my country or in Canada?
No, in Toronto.
In your country. Which country are you based in? Are you in Toronto?
Yeah, we mean Toronto. Yes.
Oh, that's nice. Oh, so are there any cases in Toronto or how is the situation like in Toronto?
Like he was speaking about with Church Street. I know about what we call the Grindr serial killer, where it was a guy who would use Grindr to form hookups and meet up with these bunch of different guys, trans and everything, and murder them. There's a beach that we call Cherry Beach. So there's a botanical garden that's east of there, sorry. That they dump all the bodies of trans women, trans men, gay men, and it still continues because you report a missing person and he said the police protocol, they have to wait for 48 hours to do a search for these people. But by the time that search has commenced, they're already dead. So and usually since they already know where the dumping ground is, basically everybody in the community, why they don't trust the police mostly because nothing is being done, everything is being brushed off.
But Mark Sanders, I remember what Mark Sanders did. His speech, he said that you live in a country. When they were having this, because I watched the press conference when he was talking with the press, and he said, you live in a country, in Canada, where being queer is legalized. You have no, what's the word? I'm trying to look for the word he said. He said, but there's no justification to say that the police can't work for you. Because in actual sense, you can actually sue the police any officer that refuses to take your case, you can actually make them lose the job. But the fact that the poor community, they are not willing to come out, like they feel like even though he said he tried to investigate it, but they were not willing to speak to him. They said, oh, the police were not willing to speak to you. You have no right being here. You have no right coming to the gay village. So they were just like excluding themselves from the police, and they couldn't catch the serial killer. The police had to be the one to step in to put a 24-hour watch on him before he could be caught. So is this not on the part of the gay community, not policing themselves? Everybody is saying, oh, it's not my business as long as I'm not affected. I have nothing to do with it. It's not my concern.
Can I just jump into that quick?
Okay.
The issue is here, the police has a duty to police the community. That is not our duty. You can't come and say we have to police the community where we belong to. So if we are policing our own community, what are the officers doing? How can the police tell us to police our own self when that is their one primary duty, to protect and save life? And then you are asking us who are not equipped, who don't have no weapon to fight against ourselves, to look for a serial killer who has been killing. So what has the system been doing all this while?
But Chimeze, I don't know if you understand. I'm not saying that you guys should fight the police. You guys should be able to know each other, have each other's back. Oh, somebody is missing. This person is missing. You should be able to
that is what I'm saying. We gave them the necessary information they need to know.
The police said nobody came forward.
No, somebody is missing. We call 911. 911, we have a missing fellow. They say follow due protocol. You have to wait 24 hours for us to send a search party to be actually sure that the person is missing. So we wait for these 24 hours. Within those 24 hours of the case is being reported, this is when the people are killed. So the police cannot say we didn't do our own part. Our own part is to report these missing cases to the officers. And that is our point. But the thing is that how they handle the cases is up to them. Because the academic will never come to air their own wrongs. You're getting, they will not air their own wrongs. But the truth is that we did our own part as community members to report these cases. Because if we had not reported these cases, they wouldn't have known that these people were missing. So we did our own part for them knowing these cases were reported.
So let me move on. Fajita, let me move on to you now. Over here, we stay here in Nigeria. So do you have any stories that you would like to share about maybe meeting? What we have here mostly are ritual cases. But do you have any serial killer cases or ritual cases in Nigeria?
Okay. Yeah, one time, in Anambra State. Yeah, we had just one case though. And this guy, according to the story, he visited somebody. He was never found for days, and when they found him, he was got some marks all over his body. He was beaten up badly, and according to the photo I saw, he was raped. Yes, he was raped, and then he later died. Something like that. That's just the only one. There's that about ritualists here in Port Harcourt. Yeah, there are so many of them here in Port Harcourt, but I can't really say for sure because I don't know which story is which story. So, but I just know that there are so many of them here in Port Harcourt and don't really have much idea.
Okay, for those who don't know what ritualists are, let me explain. In case somebody is watching us from abroad, ritualists over here in Nigeria, there are people who use other people for voodoo, for black magic, to enhance their wealth or to get protection they use other people, they sacrifice them for black magic. So I would just like to share a quiz quickly. There was a recent case, I think that's what even prompted us to do this, for a particular boy that left Lagos, that is one city, to Abuja. He left Lagos, his particular city, to Abuja, and then when he came back, after 3 days, he started noticing he was falling sick, and then he contacted the man that he has been having strange occurrence and strange feelings and the man said, oh, I've sacrificed you to my oracle.
Really?
So the boy started getting sick. And then when he called on the man and said, I've been getting sick since when I saw you. And the man said, oh, you've been sacrificed to my oracle. I've used you to enhance my wealth for black magic to my oracle. And then a few days later, this boy died. And they confronted the man. And the man said, no, anybody that confronts him, he will sacrifice that person to his oracle. Nobody can challenge him. Nobody can do this. Nobody can do that. And then it brings me to we've been hearing cases like this. I can go on and on. I've seen many cases like this before now of using teenagers, and these people seem to get away with it because, one, the LGBT community over here do not seem to have one voice and challenge people like this. Like, you are not part of the community. We'll flush you out, we'll get you out, we'll get rid of you. Because over here in Nigeria, forget it, the police is not something you can call on. Because they will say that
So
you can't even call on them.
They don't have a
You can't-
community in Nigeria.
We have a community here in Nigeria, but the thing is that this police, we don't seem to police each other. The only thing we just come to tap RIP. The only thing we say, when the person is dead, RIP, rest in peace. And I feel like it is time for us in Nigeria over here to stand up for our rights and said, no, if you're a ritualist using people for ritual, you should be challenged, you should be dealt with. But one thing that, again, that accuses us is that most of these ritualists, they have power, they have influence, because they've had money, they've been able to buy themselves some sort of immunity. Whereby if you try to challenge them, they use state actors like the military, like the DSS, like the police to get you arrested, to throw you in jail. But that is being said apart. That's why I said that the issue of community policing plays a big role in our society. And I'd also like to move to Chimereze now. Chimereze, moving on to you now. One big case is Jeffrey Dahmer. I don't know if you know of this case. Can you hear me, Harry?
I think he's frozen.
Oh.
Is Henry frozen? Henry, are you frozen? Henry, are you frozen?
No, I'm not frozen.
Your cam was frozen.
You were frozen.
Was that frozen? I actually thought it was yours that was bad.
No,
really?
It was yours.
Oh my god. Okay. It was
so let me ask you. Okay. Let me continue. So Henry, moving on to you now. I would like to use the case of Jeffrey Dahmer as a yardstick. I don't know if you know the story. So let me just run through the story again. So yes, Jeffrey Dahmer, a serial killer. He used to be just a chocolate factory worker that was killing especially black men. 17 of his victims, 10 of them were black men, killing them. And one pathetic state of the pattern. So one bad thing about Jeffrey Dahmer's case was the fact that he had military experience. So he made the killings easier for him. He made it easy to plan because he had some military experience, and he made it easy. He had like very, very deadly tactics that he could use on his victim. So I would like to move on to Jeffrey Dahmer's case now. What do you feel like was this thing touches us at the black community, because in the black community, we feel like the police do not look over there on the outside, the foreign world. They do not look after us. They do not take our case serious. It was so bad that even, I think a victim escaped, a young victim, a 14-year-old boy. But Jeffrey Dahmer was able to convince the police to hand over the boy back to him. That was a lover's affair. And he ended up taking the boy back to his house and killed him. So what do you feel like? What do you feel like this serial killing? What actually made it go for so long? For this missing person, before one person they electrocute or kill one person, another person takes over. What is the thing that is promoting this serial killing?
That's a whole deep question. To be very honest, that question is deep because I myself, I'm not like a serial killer, so I don't know what motivates them to do the things they do. So I can only
do you feel it is horror movies?
It's not horror movies. I feel it's people who are sexually not accepting of themselves. People who are, because most of the serial killers we had, especially from the LGBTQ community, were LGBT folks. So I feel it's people who religion has really tried to brainwash to tell them that they are bad, the life they're living is sinful. So they've not come to accept themselves. And because of that hatred and all those statics they've been trying to meet by society standards, they have hit the bridge of the wall. Some of them have gone through trauma. So the traumas they've gone through, they were not able to speak it out with somebody. So all those trauma built up, because trauma builds up in stages. So they get to a stage where the only way...
Yeah, he's frozen again.
Only honest thing... I'm frozen?
Continue. Just keep going, you're back.
So that is the only place they find to, exercise the trauma they've gone through by making others experience this trauma. And that is the only thing I can say. That is the first place it starts from. And the second place is because we have a whole breach in the system in our community where we don't have love, where we don't have unity, and like you rightfully said, when we don't care for each other. So they look at these loopholes and they are able to get us one by one. I think that was the same thing that happened in Florida. Was it Florida? Where a guy went into a gay club and he shot everybody there. Was it Florida?
Yeah,
it
it
was.
was
It was Florida.
Wolf's nightclub.
Yes, it was in Florida because of that inability to come to love themselves. And I feel the church and the society has a role to play because they are the ones that create these monsters by the teachings, the preachings. They are the ones who instigate these things because even the Bible says, suffer not a witch to live, so stone her. So Christianity had played a whole role, and most people will not agree with me, but they have played a whole role in breeding this hatred that we now see in the society.
So Mackenzie, I would like to move on to you now. The same question goes, like, what do you feel, this serial killing in the LGBTQI community? And I would like to say this because these people are still LGBTQI folks. Like Jeffrey Dahmer, for example, he started with just trying to possess, he was trying to have dominance. Because I watched his interview, and he said what he wanted was dominance. He tried with dominating them, like trying to hold them, like trying to just have control over them. And from control, it became killing them. Before it became even eating their body parts. And even when he went to prison, he had to be killed because the male inmates were having problem with him. Like he was always trying to rob his food, trying to harass his food, trying to doing the same thing he does to his victim, to his food. And they had to get rid of him. Oh, sorry. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Sorry, let me continue. So, and they had to get rid of him. So I would like to ask you, Mackenzie, now, what do you feel like is the biggest, these people are from the society, how do you feel like, what made it get to this point? So we're now having people in the society who want to kill community members just to please themselves, becoming serial killers.
So, it, like Henry said, it goes back to religion. And it gets to the point where you have that psychological break where you're so confined, you're so closeted that, and it happens a lot, especially in communities of color, especially the Black community where there's a lot of hate, because it's like, oh, you're not supposed to do this, you're not supposed to do that. This is what God made. It's always come back to religion. And because you're stuffed so far in that box that you can't go nowhere else, like you have no choice but to break out of it. But when you do break out, you have so much psychological damage that you don't know how to deal with it. So you're taking out that anger and frustration on people who are comfortable because you have lived this way, you haven't had this support. And it always comes down to people who've never had the support. So it's like, you've never had this support before. Where were these people? They always say that when I was going through this, where were these people when my mom did this, my dad did this? Where was these people when I was locked in a closet or I was taken to the church to be exercised because people think it's being a part of the LGBTQ community, whether you're gay, bisexual, or transsexual. They think you're possessed. So that kind of trauma that builds up, that you technically snap and you go on well, basically a rampage, a hate rampage. And it happens a lot, mostly in the United States, where they take out their frustration on people who is out there freely expressing themselves, and they don't have the privilege to do that. So they take it out, whether they kidnap, they do a hate crime, like they beat you up. For instance, the Black Lives Matter march when George Floyd was killed. The trans community came out, but everybody, a bunch of guys attacked this trans woman for supporting the Black Lives Matter. So everybody was saying, how can you be Black if you can't support the LGBT Black community? So they attack her for coming out to support.
Wow.
And it's always those who are not comfortable with their sexuality, or who are afraid to be judged, or who has been judged, is the one that does most of the crimes.
So, Fajita, I would like to move to you now.
Okay.
Coming from a female angle now, that's why I wanted a female perspective. We had a serial killer, that was last year, 2020, that was very popular. There in Port Harcourt, I'm sure you know the story. Gracious David West, that killed 15 females, that goes from hotel to hotel and strangles his victim to death. I don't know if you know of the story.
Yeah, I heard, but not really everything.
Yeah, he was strangled 15 females until he was a very gruesome story. I would not like to go in depth. I would just like to scratch the surface. But he was arrested, he was apprehended by the police because the women had to stage a protest that no, enough is enough. This guy can't continue killing women. Separate places in Nigeria, here we're having the cases, different hotels, killing them. And they said no, there was a protest and the police took it serious because it was going worldwide. They invited different bodies, organizations to say no, stop this, enough is enough. Now, let's move on to the community now. If we were having severe killings, like there were different killings, can the community in Nigeria, can they actually mobilize themselves and go for a protest?
Well, the truth is that our community will not. Like, we might come out as a person, we might come out as just human, but not coming out as a queer community. That's the truth, I'm telling you. We can come out as queer community to protest against it. But coming out as
why can't we come out as a community? I think we will make our voices heard because first of all, we are humans before we become anything.
Thank you very much. Definitely, yeah. We don't have, how would I put it? We don't have one mind. You might decide to come out, to voice out as queer, but the other person is not ready. And we're talking about one voice, so many voices coming as one. And when you're the only one doing it, then you're not talking about community again, that is personal. Now, talking about queer community here in Nigeria, coming out, voicing out, I'm telling you the truth, based on my standard here in this community, they won't come out. They won't come out to say, no, enough is enough. Stop killing queer people. They might come out and say, stop killing people. I don't know if you get. They might come out and say, stop killing these. Oh, my life is on. Stop killing these girls and stuff. But coming out and saying, we are queer people, stop killing us, Nigeria community will not do that.
So now, if I could touch on that.
Okay.
Coming out is something different because, like, if I could reference it to the Black community, you are all Black under the eyes of everyone. But as soon as they say you are a part of, or you say you're gay, you're queer, you're lesbian, you're trans, they categorize you as something as other. You're no longer Black. You are this.
That's true.
So you are separated from being Black to this. So they label you. You are no longer Black. And that's the dividing line where a lot of people is trying to erase, because it's like, if I could put it in this context, it's like racism, where you're being, it's discrimination, but it's like being racist towards a certain particular type of people. That's like how white people, Asians, and everything, wants to be, have hate speech and everything against the Black community. The same thing the Black community do to the queer community, especially the Black queer community. They do the same thing. They have hate speech. Whether they stone you, they stab you, they chase you. Like, it's the same thing that happened for a white person to hate a Black person. It's the same thing the Black community does to Black LGBTQ community.
That's very true. That's very so. I would like to. I think Mackenzie made a very valid point, and that's what I was trying to get Fajita to comment on, and which she did. But Henry, I would like to move on to you now. Henry, because over here in Nigeria, that's why it's also a big problem. And there are lots of unreported cases. The cases we have mostly are ritualists. That is one of black magic. And it's been going on and on and on and on. And yes, I gave like the reason why it could be hard, because some of these ritualists, they've made money from it and they have so much power and influence. And they have gotten to the stage whereby they cannot be to what's the word, to get them or to have them admit it or to challenge them could be very hard. But if we speak out as one, that they are killing our people, it's first of all, we are scared of saying, oh, we don't want to come out, like we are queer, we are gay. But first of all, we are first humans before we're any other thing else. That is one thing I always tell people. We are human beings before we are something else. What you are killing is human beings, whether they are gay or straight or lesbian or disabled, we are first human beings before we are any other thing else. So should this killing spree go on?
Obviously, no. This killing spree should not go on. And the thing I think we as Nigerians and even wherever we are is that we tend not to put interest in something if it doesn't affect us directly. When it doesn't affect us directly, we just say it is their problem. It is the North problem. It is the South problem. It's the LGBTQ problem. It may first start as an LGBTQ problem. It may first start as a Black issue problem. But gradually, the fire spreads to all of the forest. So the same way we are turning a blind eye because these people are queer, that is the same way that we will start also spreading it to other people for different reasons. The second thing is that every serial killer has a justification for why they kill. And like I was talking to you the other day, I told you that most of the people who do all these evil things are religious people. Religious people have done more harm than good to the society. And they look for how to justify why they should kill. And we never realize, or we don't try to look at where it begins from. So everybody looks at, oh, he has gone into, a state of delusion, or he has walked through the bricks. But we forget is those little teachings we've been teaching them. Oh, don't do this, don't touch this. Don't like them because they are Igbos, don't like them because they are Yoruba, don't like them because they are not Christians, they are not part of your faith. Those are the little drops of hatred that are built up to this mountain of the end result we see. So the result is that we should look for how to love. We should inculcate love in everything we do, so that at the end of the whole day, I've never seen a love that hurts. You're getting? So if
let me even back you up. Let me even back you up on something. Jeffrey Dahmer, do you know Jeffrey Dahmer? When his killing got so intense, he said, I watched his interview, he said he was planning on building an altar made of skulls. And the reporter asked him that, why are you planning on doing it? He said, because he feels that will make him much more spiritual. This is a white man, but saying that to make him much more spiritual, it feels like the body will connect, the soul will connect, and he could move into the spiritual realm by killing people and making skulls out of butter. I don't know, is that in the Bible?
See, the thing is religion, when it is done by white people, Caucasians, it is okay. When it is done by Black people, it is not. That is the same thing. If you look at the Bible itself, the Bible says Abraham took Isaac to the altar to sacrifice Isaac on an altar. And today we preach this in every church. But if you look deep into that teaching is a very biased teaching. Imagine that I am a child, maybe 12 years old, 7 years old, and my father tells me that God wants to be pleased with him by sacrificing me to death. That is what we have taught. And even though that we've been teaching it and it sounds so good, it sounds so like it's salvation that God himself sent his son to die for us, that's what we've been taught and that is how we feel we should go. But at the end of the whole day, the truth be told, that is a very dangerous teaching. Because if God could send his own son to be killed, and Abraham to send his own son to be killed, and the Bible has been so much about stoning and killing, that is where all these teachings are from. When they came to Africa, they told us that what we were doing were demonic. They told us burying people alive was, it was biased. Sacrificing, human sacrifice was biased. But yet in their own sacred scrolls, they do it, we preach it, we receive it, and we say it is good. Why? Why have we accepted it? If it's from the white people, we accept it, but if it's from the black people, we've not accepted it. So that is where our whole problem is: religion. If one thing is bad here, it should be bad in the scripture. If stealing is bad in my life, then how can the Hebrew people go over to a land and conquer that land and say God has given it to them? And I won't call that one stealing. I will call that one the Lord's mantle. That is where we have issues. When we look at something differently because it is coming from a religious path. And when we see it in society, we say, oh, it is evil. But when we see it from a religious aspect, we embrace it. That is where all our troubles come from.
So, let's take this conversation home now. So, Mackenzie, what providing solutions now? I want to go to each and every one of you. What do you feel like is your solution to stop this serial killing, this missing person, this losing our LGBTQI members? What is the solution for this? How can we put an end to this?
Mental health support. There's lacking a lot of mental health support in the community where a lot of people don't get it. And a lot of people do need it. In the Black community, a lot of us, we don't want to admit that we have a mental health issue. They think if you have a mental health issue, that you're crazy. And that's not always the case, because everybody do suffer from depression, panic attacks, and repressed memories, and all of that is a part of your mental health, which affects you. So if that is not treated, or if that is not looked after, then you're gonna have the same repeated patterns over and over again.
That's question. That's very good. That's valid point. So Fajita, moving on to you now, you're taking this home. What do you feel is the solution? This over here now, it's ritualists. They are also serial killers. Because if we go deep into the Nigerian home, there are people that just wake up, and I think there's one. There used to be one at this Trinity Hotel at Aja. Now I remember, and they call themselves Niger Saws, like Saw. If you've seen the movie Saw, what they do is that they kill people. They look for gay people. They kill them. They dismantle them. But I heard they even push people into that canal near the hotel and just all sorts of horrific story. And it goes on, and because if you report to the police can't. They won't even take you serious. So, and community members are not willing to say things about it. It was just letting it slide under the carpet. What do you feel like can be the solution over here in Nigeria? How do you feel like we can put an end to this ritualism and this killing spree that is happening in Nigeria?
Well, here in Nigeria, they say we shouldn't take laws into our hands. Otherwise, if we take laws into our hands. But then, how to put a stop to this? I think, to me, when any one of them is caught, yes, to me, just kill them. Because even when you leave them, they'll definitely continue from where they stop. That is just my own opinion. Just end them, because when you leave them, they will definitely continue. can't stop. It's something that they've been doing, and it's part of them. It's part of who they are. So asking them to stop is like asking them to stop living. That is their life.
So,
Imagine. Okay, go on.
So I think when you said the word, we should kill them and put an end to them. Wouldn't that be jungle justice and we're taking laws into our hands? And
thank you.
That could also get us in jail.
Thank you. That was the reason. The first thing I said was that they said we shouldn't take laws into it because saying that our government should arrest them, blah blah blah. You know our country. This is Nigeria. We are one. Police don't take anything seriously. Even when they get there in jail, they can still come out. They are ritualists. Then go come out. They can bribe themselves out. Okay. You asked me and I forgot to even say something. I don't know if you heard of a man in Port Harcourt. He has this big building. The fence is ×2 of our normal fence. Do you know what he does? He kills people, put their heads in soccer wear, like put their body in soccer wear. We don't know what to do with those people. And the kids have been seeing him doing something like that. And then they reported the man, something like that. Yeah. Now imagine that kind of a person. You arrest him and you're leaving him. He was killed. The community was like, if they don't kill him, they will come to the police station and take him and kill him. Because when he comes out, he will do the same thing. So that was the reason I said we shouldn't take laws into our hands, though. But you leaving them, they're definitely going to keep doing it, and they will not stop until they are dead. So that's just all I have to say.
I think those the points are valid, but I think what the main word that I got from what you said is self-defense. You could actually even say that it was in self-defense, because one thing I picked from it, I was trying to debate it it could be, it's kind of wrong, it's kind of bad. But I remember when Jeffrey Dahmer testified, and this other man, I'm trying to remember his name, is it Charles something, I can't remember again. But Jeffrey Dahmer said that if he wasn't caught, he would still have continued because it was imbued in him. He could not help it. He could not stop. Take him to the highest mental therapist office. He can't change. Take him to anywhere you take him to. He cannot change. And even Charles, I can't remember.
Just what I'm saying now. Yeah. When you live in it.
Yeah. Even the other guy, Charles was even telling the reporter he was not remorseful. He said the only regret he had that he didn't kill enough people. He thought he had enough time. He would have killed enough people.
Now,
so I felt so that was told the reporter that I will try and get his name.
So you
I think I'll get his name and post it on the comment section.
Okay. So now you see I'm not wrong.
Yeah. It's a terrible situation.
Jungle justice is not the right way to go to by killing them, because when we have this notion that people cannot change, if all of us have this notion that nobody can change, then nobody can change. But the truth is that we all can change if we choose to change. But when your mind is made up, you can't change. Nothing on earth can change it.
But Henry, how can you know if your mind is made up? People are dying.
It starts from the next generation, doing what is right by the next generation. So how can we change our mind? First and foremost is, to be honest, we need to take them to therapy. Most of them have not been to therapy.
Are you sure therapy can work? Jeffrey Dahmer said he had gone through therapy a lot of times now. He even went through the military. And he went through the military just to try and push up the air, because he said he went to therapy, didn't work. So he went to the military, feeling like if he was going from war zone to war zone, he wouldn't have time to explore his thing. But he ended up being chased away from the military because he had a
So he was in the military?
Yes, he was. Jeffrey Dahmer joined the military.
He was in the military.
Other guy's name too. This other guy's name too. I can't remember, because their names always, there are lots of serial killers. You can check a lot of it. There's one too that they call the freeway killer. But I can't get his real name. But what they call it is the Southern California freeway killer. He also joined. He had military background too.
So are we going to say that people are born serial killers?
We can't say they are born serial killers, but when you programmed your mind,
if they were not born serial killers, it means there's still a chance for them to change, right?
See, but there's some people that go through all this.
Tell me how.
They go through all this. That's why I say I cannot agree with that, because there are some people that go through all the therapy in the world. America is one of the best countries in the world. There's no death sentence. They try and they try and rehabilitate you, try and look for ways to make you a better person. But if you cannot be better in America, then that means that they have to end your life. There are lots of people, they have to put them on death row. Many people in America. And I remember the judge saying it to what's his name? That Charles Skinner. I can't get his full name. I'm trying to get his full name. But Charles, that you are non-repentant. Like you don't even care. You have no remorse. There's no remorse left in you. He said that if he wished he had enough time, he would have killed more than enough people. He wished that he could have taken many people. He said he's not guilty of anything. He said because the gay people that are polluting the society, they are trying to make the society a bad place. They are trying to destroy the society.
I think the first thing is for us to go from the first side, because we are just looking at the end result, but we are not addressing the main thing that has brought these results we are talking about. Because most people, I feel for me, the solution first is for us to regulate what we teach, what society teaches. We need to regulate religious activities. You're getting? Because most of these serial killers were born in churches. If you even check, most of them are very spiritual people. And
yes, Bruce Otto was a church member, like a church. Bruce Otto was a core church member.
So you see, most of them have this religious background where they've come through, and these teachings have made them the monsters they've become. So I think the first thing we need to do is to regulate religious activities in the society and what society tend to call abominable. Because society sometimes teaches us to hate people for different reasons, either it be religious, sexuality, or color. So society has been the one instigating this hate, and it has gotten this end result we have now. For me, I feel we need to regulate religious activities. We need to learn how to unite. We need to learn how to unite. Sorry, there was an echo. So we need to. Sorry, there was an echo. So we need to. Coming from our own end.
It's not. I think it's from this person's end.
It's not. I think it's from this
Mackenzie's end.
No.
Mackenzie's end.
I think it's from Fajita. I think it's from Fajita.
No, mine is okay.
Okay, but yeah, that's where I'll come from. I feel people can change, to be honest. That's my own argument.
So what's up with the audio problem? Fajita, is he on loudspeaker?
You say?
Final points now, rounding up. How do you feel like this killing spree? How can it be addressed? Final points.
I feel we should just unite. I feel we should all own up to our own errors. We all have contributed to all these errors that has happened. And we should do our best to regulate what we do to our children. And we should unite in love.
So I think my own final points would be for us uniting. Yes, that's what I said from the first committee. We should police each other. We should look out for each other. See, there's something I said. They said, there's something they say in Yoruba that Yoruba land, land only will give. Meaning, like if the walls don't have holes, lizard can't enter inside. So the community should be like a wall that is sealed, that no lizard, no reptile, nothing, no force can penetrate the community. Because if the person tries to penetrate, we'll bring the person down. It is by looking out for each other, like a broom. When a broom is together, you can't break it. But when the broom is one, you can just be breaking the broom and taking it off. So, but anyhow, that has been our offering on this episode. It has been a very interesting episode on Kiro Talk, and it's been nice hanging out with you guys. Thank you, Chimere Henry, a documentary filmmaker, an activist, and a minister. Thank you for coming. And we also had Fajita Kelly, CEO of Equality Hub. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And we also had Mackenzie Azel. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. And it has been an interesting episode. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. And please don't forget to subscribe. Until you come your way next week. See you all later. Bye. Peace out.